Hello and welcome to the Dutching channel. It's Friday the 10th of May 2024 and it's 20 to 9 in the evening, and we've just finished all the racing for today's flat meetings in the UK at Chester, Ascot, Nottingham and Ripon. Now yet again we've had a losing day, but just less than 1 point. It's been one of those days again where the unlucky comes into it. But as I said, I don't want to hear unlucky on a daily basis. But to a £50 stake here, we've lost £45, so a 0.95 of a point. It still puts us on a profit for the month of 6.27 points. For myself, it puts me £313 in front for the 10th day. Not great, but at the end of the day, I'd rather be making a profit than a loss. So let's move into the 10th, and we'll see that we had 20 races today to bet on, and it was one of those things where we did okay at Chester, where we made a profit there of £93.33. And then at Ascot, we made a £6.75 profit. At Ripon, we lost £45.16. And as you can see from Nottingham, we lost £100. So overall, on the whole day, a £45 loss for a £50 stake. You know, if you were betting all of those for £1 today and you laid out £20, you would have come away losing just under £1. So again, it isn't too bad. We're going to have a look into the race step by step. So we'll have a look in starting with our first meeting this afternoon. This was at Chester. And the 1:30, we started off well. They did back this down and it went off pretty much favourite. This was Percy's Lad. And we were lucky really to have had this one because we had so many outsiders that, you know, at some point, even if we had something there at about 2 to 1, we still could have gone down to that. So that was a good start for us. I was happy with that one. Then our next bet was in the 2:35. We're watching this live. Every pundit that was on the TV had thought Box to Box had won it. I was a bit sceptical. It was a bit of a hard one on the angle. When they called City Street the winner, I thought to myself, yeah, that's good. So that brought us in like a £93 return, which was £43 profit. So along with the £50 profit in the first one, I thought, yeah, we're doing quite well here. Then we went into the 3:05. These are the races maybe that I keep thinking in my head, if I leave anything out, what am I going to leave out? But even though it isn't a handicap, the horse doesn't know it's not a handicap. So, and I suppose when you look at the weights, they're all off levels. It isn't that's causing me not to get the winners in these races. But they did give Passenger, it's gone off second favourite. We've got the favourite there, Isra, comes second, but it's not running well this season, to be honest. But we did have the third and the fourth, so everything around there with the ratings that we've given, it's not too much of a bad run, but it is a loss, so we lost that race. And then into the 3:40, Zoffy. This came through at 13 to win the big handicap there today. We did manage the third and the fourth as well, so wasn't too bad of a race, that one. And then into the 4:50, Oman at 32.12. This was a winner for us because we do seem to predict a few outsiders in this system. So Oman was another one for us there, big price as well. So that brought us a bit more in credit there. And then coming to the last race, Chase the Dollar, another one of my bottom selections that win now and again. So we would never have got this. And it's not only just one, it's won by 6 lengths. So it's a bit of a head scratcher for me, really. So if we just look back at the Chester card there, the losers that we have had today, Israel was second and Turner Gale was second. So it's one of those meetings there, even though we made a profit, we can still look at 2 seconds, still unlucky again. And now we're going to go into Ascot. We started well here. Arctic Thunder at 12.7 was our top selection as well. And this held on just from accumulate. You couldn't predict who was going to win that coming into the final furlong. And then it was time for a couple of straight losers. Bottom selection again. Glenn Finnan this time at 9.6. And where did we come? When we lose the race, we had the second Billy Joe, but no good in this instance. And then into the 4 o'clock, just under where we stopped betting there, Jimmy Speaking was the winner. And we had the second Lashardi at 6.46. So again, it's another losing selections, 2 on the trot there at Ascot, but both again we had the second. So it's still not as bad as it seems. Then into the 4:35, the Ice Phoenix was the winner here. We had the first and the second, 6.52 the winner. That was our third selection. And then going into the last race here, the 5:10, didn't win like a short price favourite. Should have done. It was our full selection, but we did manage to get our money back. And at one point, I thought Hedonista was going to chin it, and that was our horse that came second, but we did get our money back there. And now going into Ripon this evening, we took a little bit of a lead of around £100 into the evening session. So the evening was pretty dire, really. And as you can see here, the first winner at Ripon, the 6:05 for us, was Matisse. We didn't have that. We didn't have the second either. So that was a line straight through that race. No good at all. Then in the 6:40, Nay looked good from the win last time. What we had is come through here. It's only our bottom selection. So that was literally just over our money back. And then it was time for another loser at Ripon. This time it was Havana Rum, and it's the one where you stop just underneath. So that was that. And of course we had the second Roundhay Park at 28.5, and that was unlucky. And then moving into the 7:50 at Ripon, Contrast won this one. We had this at 15.5, so that was another winner. This has started bringing us back into it again. And then in the 8:25, Havana Prince got out, set the fractions, wasn't going to get beat, but our top selection here, Curious Mrs. Fox, I thought at one point was going to win it. And the SP of that one returned at 52.3. And that was our top selection. That would have been a very nice one to have come in. But Havana Prince, bottom selection again. But it was our money back, so it wasn't a loss. And then this was a bit of a head scratch meeting. This was Nottingham. First 3 races were all losers, and then we got out of trouble in the last. So the 5:59, Soy Dow was the winner here. Lunario was second, and I didn't have either. So that was a line through that race. That wasn't good. And then Clear Storm come through and won the 709. This was 8.53. I didn't have the second. I didn't have the third. So I think this is just a bad meeting for me. Then into the 744, down the bottom again, that bottom selection curse that I have. This was Ripon. This came through and won at 9.8. But we did have the second that fought all the way to the line there. I thought it was going to get back up. And that was Enderman. And then taking that little bit of, hope into the last. This was the 818. It didn't really matter here because I had the first and the second. But Yazaman pounced very late to beat Spanish Angel, which was my top selection at 11.2. So luckily that was one of our ones there. And that got us some money back in the last at Nottingham. So going from an okay start this afternoon, it whittled down to giving most of it back. Well, I say giving most of it back was only about £100 in front. So we ended giving that back and more, and then got some money back towards the end. It could have been a lot worse than it was, but also with maybe 5 of those losers. Let's just click on those losers and see how many did come second. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 out of those 9 losers were second. So you can see how close it is yet again. The system is perfect. I'm very happy with the system we're using for the amount of winners it's bringing. But as I said about just betting on level stakes to level race, like 20 races, 20 bets at the same stake, I'm not sure if that is the answer, but I do keep looking on a daily basis. That's the only thing I think I need to change. But if I was to do, as I said to you about the doubling up system, it becomes a lot of money, especially if you look at the Nottingham page there tonight. If you imagine we wanted to win £20 from that first race, we would have to stake 20, 40, 80, and then not knowing that the last one was going to win, we still needed 160 on that race. So we would have already laid out 300 before we knew we was going to get a return on that. And of course, if you don't win when you've laid out the 300, in the next race it's going to be 320. And then you think to yourself, well, where's this all going to end? Where am I going to stop betting on it? And of course, when you've only got 4 betting races to do at Nottingham, you can't go beyond that 4th one. And then you think, well, do I take that as a loss? Do I start again? Do I carry on at another meeting? And I don't like going across the card when I'm betting, because as you've seen tonight, Ripon is only around 5 minutes difference from their race to the Nottingham race, or vice versa. Nottingham go 5 minutes before Ripon. So all you need is something to go wrong, and a horse not going in, and I know it's a flat race and it only takes a minute or 2 to run it, so it's a little bit different than jumping the hurdles. But if you're doing across the card, it isn't good to do that. But if you were to look there tonight across the card, we had the first 3 races at Ripon that we only managed to get 1 money back, and we had 3 lose, don't forget. at Nottingham in a row. So we would have stopped when we got to this one, which would have been the 640, but then we would have had a loser in the 715, and we would have had a loser in the 709, so that would have been that. Then onto that one, then we'd have had another loser. So it would have been one of those things where you think, how far do I keep going? So it still looks like 4 would have been the top amount of races that we would have had to have bet in to guarantee, well, it's not guarantee, but to get a profit. And if you did that on a day like today, you would have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bets. You would have got 3 back or 4 back with your money, but one of those was nearly a top, well, £93 back anyway. So you could have profited today maybe over £150 if you was to do the doubling up system. It's something that I will keep on looking at, but I'm not sure whether I want to go down that road. You've got to have a cut-off. And if you do have a cut-off and say that you will do the maximum of 4 races, then you will lose 300, and it will take you 15 races to get that money back. And that will be 15 winners just to receive that money back. And that's hoping that you don't have another loser in between getting those 15 back. Because if you get another loser, then you lose another 15. But if you decide, well, I used to do 6 races. Right, this system, since I've been doing it, has never lost 6 races on the trot, ever. And you'll see that from when I started doing this system, that we haven't had a loser. Well, I think the worst we've seen is most probably 4 at the moment, but I've never had 6. So if I decided I was going to go, I'll just put it up here. If I went £20, £40, £80, £160, £320, and then £640, I would need to do a stake here. I think I'm going to need to widen that like that. I would need to lay out £1,260 if it comes to that very last race. Then you've got to think to yourself, have you got the bottle to do it? I know I've got the bottle to do up to maybe 160 going on to the 320, but then you think to yourself, this is where you're going to really lose a massive stake, and this is 640. That would then, divided by 20, take 63 races to get that back. But are you going to ever get to that period where you're going to lose 6? It's a very difficult one to go down. I could quite easily gamble it and go for it. And would then I have to go across the card rather than through the card? Because going through the card is very easy. You're always going to be betting in the first race, then the second race, half hour, 35, 40 minutes later, whatever it is. So you're never going to cross over. But the only problem you've got is if you're betting in a race where the second race is 5 minutes difference, because the betting takes longer than 5 minutes to put your selections on. Especially if you've got a big handicap, you need to get 10 selections on. Those 10 selections most probably would need you about 10 minutes. Now, what I did say this week I would do, I'm going to have to do a betting in running to show you how long it takes to put a bet on. Because when you bet on exchanges, the prices are forever moving. So you could put in that you want £20 at odds of 10, and as you put that on and click it, it could have changed to 9.8. And then you have to start over again. You have to win a set amount. So it becomes quite difficult. This is why people out there I do see are using different software, BetAngel, all these type of things. But I've tried it myself. I'm not a lover of it, I will be honest. I prefer to do it myself. So I think I'd rather start 10 to 15 minutes before and bet the race that way. But if we've done this just to win £20, you're not going to win very much, because all you're going to do is down the card at the meeting. So if you've got 4 meetings and you end up getting those 4 winners, you stop when you get the winner. So you would end up with an £80 profit, but you would not be able to get any more than that. And of course, if you've only got 4 bets and they all lose, you don't have any kind of chance of getting that money back. Unless you was to say, right, well, I've lost 4 on the trot at Nottingham, and then I have to wait for Nottingham to come round again before I can carry on with that meeting. That's the only way you can do it, but you would need a huge bank to do it that way. So if you were going to do this, you would have to do it across the card, but you would not be able to rush through meetings like when they have 3 afternoon meetings and you have, say, 5 to 10 minutes between races, because it's going to take 5 minutes to run that race, especially if they're a few minutes off late. So it's something that I need to look at. I'm happy with the progress. I'm happy with the system of doing one race singly and just laying out £50, and whatever happens in that race, it's an even money bet. You win or you lose. But the only thing is, it takes another race to get back to level. So I do like the system of doubling up, but it's a case of not doing bets where they are just 5 to 10 minutes apart. So it will be something that I need to look at. But as I said, tonight you would have had no chance to do Ripon and Nottingham. You could have only gone down the card, and luckily at Nottingham you would have got out of a bit of trouble in the last. So it's something I'm going to look on, and then we'll take it from there. But other than that, it's been a £45 loss today for a £50 stake, or if you were betting in £1, you would have lost 95p for 20 bets. So at the end of the day, you can see it's been unlucky again. We've had 6 seconds, but I don't want to keep calling on being unlucky, because unlucky doesn't win me any money. So we'll leave it at that for this video, for the results show this evening. And the next one I'm going to put up tonight is going to be the selections for Saturday. And we'll start that as soon as I finish here. But thanks for watching.